The Tariff Impact is a video podcast series that helps Ontario manufacturers navigate challenges and opportunities. It is brought to you by a partnership between the Trillium Network for Advanced Manufacturing and York Link, part of York Region Economic Development.
Joining us today is Dennis Dussin, president of Vaughan-based Alps Welding and a member of the board of directors of the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters, or CME. Dennis, welcome. Tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about Alps Welding.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast. Alps Welding is a custom metal fabricator. We build industrial process equipment for many different industries, a lot for the energy industry, power, steelmaking, mining. So anybody that's got a kind of a custom chemical process. We've been in business for 50 years. We've been in the city of Vaughan for pretty much all of that time. It's a family business. I'm second generation in the business. And so we've got about 65 employees. We are kind of a mid-sized fabricator, but we're one of the small mid-sized businesses in Vaughan.
So what do you, as a Vaughan-based, as a York region-based small manufacturer, make of this current situation?
You know, it's really upsetting. It's really unfortunate. About half of our business is in the United States. So that would be either customers in the United States that are buying from us or end users that are using our equipment that are located in the United States. So it's a big part of our business. And over the 50 years that we've been in business, we've done so much business throughout all of the United States. We have so many good customers there that we are really integrated with in their supply chain. So this really kind of throws a wrench into a lot of the things that we're working on. It's not good for us, not good for our customers. It's going to result in a lot of increased costs and kind of disruption of supply chains. And, we all work really hard to eliminate waste and take costs out and, have the most efficient supply chain we can. So, it's unfortunate and, it doesn't really have like a good reason behind it, right? To say that there's some cause for this, it seems very arbitrary, and that's what's upsetting about it.
So tell us a bit about your experiences as a small manufacturer, again, working across a number of different industries.
Yeah, we, because of the type of manufacturing we do, we offer our services to many different industries. So we're essentially a contract manufacturer. Customers design equipment for their process, and then they have us build it for them. So our skills are relevant to many different industries. Definitely oil and gas has always been a big part of our industry. But we do steel making, we do, power plants. We build a lot of like pressure vessels and heat exchangers and piping systems and modules. Like these are kinds of equipment that are used in many, many different industries. We even do a little bit of food processing and pharmaceutical work. So, we consider we are a manufacturer, but we consider ourselves a service provider, right? We provide a manufacturing service. We're very diversified and we're always trying to learn more, right? So there's always a new industry, a new product, something we hadn't built before, that we're learning about. That's been really the foundation of our success is that diversification and that customer service aspect. What's driven our business a lot in recent years is our customers making investments in their, call it environmental performance, right? They're trying to conserve energy. They're trying to reduce emissions. We do a lot of water treatment equipment, like industrial water treatments. They're trying to conserve water and reuse water. So we're seeing a lot of our customers making investments in that kind of efficiency gain, right? Which a lot of it is environmental equipment, and that's been driving the business too. So yeah, very, very diversified. We very rarely make the same thing twice, and it's always a new and interesting day. Every project is new.
And what about your experiences working across different geographies or different jurisdictions, whether it's different provinces in Canada, different parts of the United States, or even Europe?
Yeah, it's, again, diversification is kind of the word for us. Besides being in a lot of industries, we're in a lot of different geographies. When the business started 50 years ago, we were a service provider. We were working on site doing welding and repairs at chemical and food plants around Toronto. But as we grew more into manufacturer, doing like shop fabricated equipment and shipping that out, we kind of opened up a whole bunch of geography for us. So, we were shipping equipment all through Ontario, and then across Canada, and then all through the United States. So we have shipped equipment, pretty much everywhere in North America, a number of projects in Central America, to many, many countries around the world. Vast majority is still North American. Most of what we build is large and it's heavy, and so shipping and geography is a factor. So things that are accessible by truck, right? Locations that are accessible by truck, tends to be most of our business. But we've done a lot of business in Alberta and oil sands and energy work, all through Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana, kind of like the Gulf. Really everywhere in North America, we've done business, and the experience has been generally good. There are barriers, right? There's interprovincial barriers, which is, something that's talked about a lot in the news now. It's become very relevant, but something we've dealt with a long time, different jurisdictional requirements in different provinces of the country that we have to navigate. And then obviously shipping into the United States, we've had to adapt through free trade and NAFTA and CUSMA. And there's different jurisdictional kind of requirements for the United States, but that's all part of the learning and part of being able to work in those markets. I think a lot of small businesses tend to be very entrepreneurial. We're always looking for opportunities, and there's kind of that push-pull where it's like, oh, we're entrepreneurial and we're looking for opportunities, but also, are we prepared to, work in jurisdictions that are far away and take on some of the bureaucracy and licensing and stuff like that. And so I think we've been successful at it, and I encourage small and medium-sized businesses to scale up and export and, get involved in other jurisdictions and not always just stay close to home.
So if you were to summarize some of the most potent opportunities and some of the most pressing challenges as they relate to diversification, how would you summarize those?
Oof. Well, I think the opportunities there's different opportunities in different provinces, right? Like if you just look at Canada, there's definitely a big energy opportunity in Alberta, but as you look at, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, there's a lot of opportunity in hydroelectric power. There's a lot of opportunity in nuclear power. So there are a lot of industries that are growing and investing across the country, and I think there's that opportunity to get involved in the supply chains of these different industries. I think like any diversification, you're also a little bit more resilient when things go sideways, right? If there's a slump in the oil industry, if you're also in chemicals or food, you have an opportunity to pivot a little bit, as opposed to having, being focused on one particular industry supply chain. So, I think those are the opportunities. In Canada, when you look at the United States, huge opportunity, much bigger market, a lot more investment. It's always, at least 10 times, the investment that's made in Canada in terms of capital equipment and the projects. Usually it's more than that, more than 10 times. So, that there are big opportunities for companies that want to go and, take on those challenges. And then internationally, this is where we're looking now with what's going on with trade between US and Canada. We kind of have our diversification mindset and think like, all right, have we become too focused on US and Canada, and, where else can we be and where else can we play? So, we're looking at the European market. We do some work in the geothermal space. So we've seen some Central American projects. Like we think there are opportunities elsewhere. We're going to be going to the Hanover Messe show in March, at the end of March in Germany. And, our hope there is to meet more potential European customers. And the way we've worked with European customers in the past is kind of twofold. I mean, obviously we sell equipment and we can ship equipment to Europe, and we have done in the past. And some of those European companies are working with international projects. And so we've shipped equipment for them everywhere. But we think the other opportunity is that there are a lot of European engineering firms and, equipment designers that are working on North American projects. And we've found in the past some success where some of those European companies are looking for a North American manufacturer partner, so that they can work with somebody in Canada, with access to the United States to build equipment here for them. So we've done that a number of times, and we think there's big opportunity there, particularly again when we talk about some of that clean technology and energy transition kind of stuff. When you're talking about energy recovery, you're talking about alternate energy, hydrogen is a big market for us. A lot of the European engineering firms and equipment manufacturers, they can sometimes be ahead of the curve on some of those technologies. So we think that's a big opportunity for us too.
Great. So you're located in Vaughan, in York Region, in the GTA, in the GTHA, which is one of only two major metropolitan areas in North America with full-scale aircraft and vehicle assembly. It's the only one with full-scale aircraft assembly, vehicle assembly, biopharmaceutical manufacturing, integrated steel making, and space robot manufacturing. What are some of the advantages to being located in, what is really one of the world's preeminent industrial and manufacturing ecosystems, and how do we leverage that advantage?
That is a great question. I love it. I will add to your list nuclear power.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
When you look at manufacturing centers in the world, what comes top of mind? My family is from Northern Italy. Comes top of mind. You got Northern Italian manufacturing, you got German manufacturing, Dutch manufacturing, Japanese manufacturing. And, you think about all these sort of world centers of, highly advanced manufacturing clusters. I think Southwestern Ontario, the GTHA, I mean, you can look at it as a region. I think we can go toe to toe with, any other manufacturing region in the world. You talked about auto. I think that's a foundation of the manufacturing sector in Southwestern Ontario. Aerospace, we've been building airplanes here for, 80 years, 100, probably coming up on 100 years. There's this deep knowledge around the manufacturing sector. And then if you think about, all of the sort of waves of immigration that have been attracted to this area over the last 50, 60 years, a lot of that has been manufacturing expertise. If you look around the York region, and look at all these small, medium-sized manufacturers, a lot of them are owned by people that came from Europe and, started businesses here. And so there's that mindset around, quality and developing skills and, continuous learning. I think that's really part of the DNA of Southwestern Ontario. And I think we sell ourselves short often, where we think, we're Ontario and we're Canada and we're some small player. And I don't think that we are a small player. We have customers that come here from all over North America, and they're blown away when they see kind of the industrial capacity of the region. People come here from Texas, or they come here from Oklahoma, and they'll see, there's steel manufacturers, there's steel processors, there's welding shops, there's machine shops, there's coating companies, there's all of the capacity to do electrical work and assembly, all within half an hour drive. And it's this ecosystem of all these small, medium-sized businesses that deliver this. So, I'm really proud to be located in Vaughan. Like, we've been here for all these years, and we've seen the area continue to grow and develop new capabilities. I think there's a ton of opportunity to grow that, which is why these tariffs are even more upsetting, right? Because we've got a great thing going, and I hate to see a wrench thrown into the works, because there's still so much good work to do.
And so as part of this ecosystem, you're involved with the CME, sitting on its board, with York Region Economic Development, with the City of Vaughan Economic Development. What are the role and the importance of these organizations to the broader manufacturing sector?
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially because Canadian manufacturing and Ontario manufacturing is made up of so many small and medium manufacturing companies. There's a need to connect people in these ecosystems, right? And, the reason I got involved in CME, I'm very passionate about manufacturing, about driving manufacturing, but I also realize that a lot of small business owners, they don't make the time or have the time or take the time to get involved in, organizations that bring together multiple members of supply chains. And, they tend not to get involved in a lot of stuff. They're busy running their businesses, right? And so I think, I got involved with CME because, I thought it could help connect me to other manufacturers and it helped me grow my business, and it has done that. But then, I got more involved and got onto the board of CME, and, clearly I don't speak for the organization. I'm a member and I'm a board member. What I will say is that, it connects manufacturers all across the country. And I think it's really important for businesses, big and small, to be part of that, to be part of a network like that. And to take time out of running their business to say, okay, how do I connect with other related business? How do I learn from even unrelated businesses? How do we develop the ecosystem better and the integration better? And same thing for York Region. We have, so many businesses within a 10-minute drive of where I am here that, that I haven't met yet, and that, could help me or I could help them, and so I think there's a real need for that kind of connection. And, if anything good comes out of this whole tariff trade war thing, I hope it's a desire among Canadians and Canadian business people to be a little bit more united and to work a little bit more in cooperation, if you want to call it that, to drive the sector overall, right? We're finally talking about how do we knock down interprovincial trade barrier, right? And that's great. Let's start working on that. And, hopefully it drives businesses to say, like, are there other Canadian businesses I can work with to help drive the development of the sector, of the the city or the region, of the country overall. So I think there's a big role for that. Part of our going to Hanover for the trade show is as part of the Canadian delegation, right? Which is, driven by NGen. We were drawn into it by the Vaughan Chamber of Commerce. They're putting together a group of people. So Vaughan Chamber of Commerce, York Region, NGen, and CME. These are all organizations that manufacturers should make time to participate in.
Great. Silver lining and everything.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today, and very much look forward to collaborating with you and York Region Economic Development and NGen at Hanover, which is coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's coming up. We're really looking forward to it.
Thanks very much, Dennis.
This series is produced by Storied Places Media.